Hello, beautiful, amazing, fantastic world, and you, wonderful, wonderful individual. Today, I would like to speak about inner soul flame, the flame of life. And of course, it is up to each and every one individual of us to awaken that soul flame to, well, you will have to, of course, give yourself the firewood to keep that soul flame going. But once you really get to become grateful for life, I don't think it would be truly a problem. For one from inwards enliven the world and also oneself through this process of enlivening the world, becoming one with the world through our perception and at the same time keeping oneself a human being and, well, self-conscious and not losing oneself away in the world, but to truly being able to feel and sense everything that comes from within when you experience the world. And over time making it more and more transparent to yourself. First, at least, because that is when you start living by that, and you do not really wish to hide anything from yourself, for you cannot hide anything from the higher worlds. They always see us and they see more than we do. So our intention and also our focus and attention and such are also something they constantly are aware of. They only, as I mentioned, just prompt us. And we are the ones doing the exercises, practices, and holding oneself strong to the values and morals that we, well, choose to stick by. Of course, as I mentioned, not in a dogmatic, pragmatic type of way where you become like a rock but you truly become a living, malleable, transformable force within your physical form, your being. So even though your outer physical vessel do not change too much other than, well, you look more radiant and healthy, I guess. You it is your behaviors and your interests and your values and such that are transforming and changing. And that is a super sensible thing because no people can see it outside on your being except your practices that you have been doing over time and those you have chosen. So based on what you do, you cultivate and become better over time, and it might appear and show itself, project itself visibly. Like speech, for example, you become much better at it, and the way we perceive that growth in speech is by perceiving that person speak, right? It is the same with these types of things too. It is about the thoughts, feelings, and behaviors of oneself first and foremost, for that is the responsibility we have. Once we are able to hold ourselves harmonious and stable and strong and in balance inwardly, both thought, feelings, and, well, your will is part of all of this, but we only are meant to make it transparent. We are not meant to, as we say, work upon our own will, for, well, it is sacred. We utilize our will to master our thinking and feeling, but to touch upon the will directly with the will, it's, I digress. To hold oneself to the soul fire, to the feeling and thoughts of life, we can pervade this reality with, well, beauty, with divinity, with life, with purpose, and a childlike wonder again, curiosity, because that is how you expand and deepen and transform yourself, by learning, growing, studying, dedicating yourself to a path that you will until your last breath take. For that is what we more or less have, more or less you will come into that, well, opinion when you do this work, for you wish it to last from past, well, before we were born until after we die. So the work we do now, we we came back to this lifetime from our past lifetimes, and it will be the same in the future. So what we work upon now is not only we mending and transforming what we had in the past, but we also have new impulses that comes in that we also. So there is also always, for if we go around in a circle, in a sense, it is more like a spiral. For every circle around, we gain, there is a new layer, in a sense, and something new that is, or else we would just go on repeat for every cycle. But we don't, we really don't. It wouldn't be any purpose in it. So we will grow into the divine hierarchy, the heavenly hierarchies, as spirits of freedom and love far in our development, once we have developed to these types of beings. But we will be new types of hierarchical beings than the archangels, archai, uh, exousiae, dynamis, and kyriadities, thrones, cherubim, and seraphim. We would be a new type of spiritual being. That is why our development is unique as it is, with death and forgetting our past lives and forgetting our more supersensible forces, is for us to gain freedom in our perception and to again grow into the understanding of the esoteric, of the divine, of the spiritual. And that requires us dedication, and also, a certain faith and trust is also required. Or just to keep oneself with that soul fire alone also warms up our being and makes us, well, more gentle, more soft, more understanding towards others, because you do that to yourself. You give yourself leeway and room to breathe. You are not tyrannical with yourself, so you neither don't become with others either. We try to stick to a certain amount of flow and balance, and modesty and moderation, more or less. Holding in constant equilibrium type of balance. And that requires a certain stage of constant meditation. And meditation is not breathing and losing yourself into a trance or into our conscious state, but truly breathing, being conscious of everything around us, and awake, aware, absorbing all things that might happen, so it can become memory and we can survey it later through our memories, for example. Because that is how we truly learn from, at least that's how I have learned from my past, is to reflect upon it. If I didn't, I would just not have learned. I would only have experienced it, but I would not have taken in the valuable lessons and extracting that essence of those lessons, so that I can understand life and the world to a deeper extent than I otherwise would beforehand. And that is the joy of life, and to, well, steel oneself, with two E's, so that one can be able to handle the turmoil and roller coaster of life and the emotions. And for that is by no means an easy task. It is something it is required practice, for our emotions is a turbulent thing, and to be able to, well, first go down into one's own emotions requires courage. And that is what one do prepare and enlighten and initiate one's own being after one's own tempo. There is no such thing as a common tempo in this development. We all bloom at different rates based on the amount of interest and the amount of life force and attention we put into this type of work. And also the latent talents and such that comes from our physical vessel and such, and karma. There are a lot of elements playing in this, and that is why you shouldn't worry too much about others when it comes to your own development. The only thing we do is orient ourselves with humanity in such a way that we do not become alien. We do not become misunderstood and not understood, but we wish to be understood from the soul, from the soul fire from the warmth and from the love, and trying to show that love is truly, you need, it is a power, it is a force that you sustain over time through practice and enlightening your, well, library of knowledge, so that you can sustain it. You build up an arsenal so you're able to love with strength, in a sense. And that requires practice and requires a certain amount of interest. And I think I will leave you with this today. So may you be protected, guided, blessed, and loved by Father, Holy Spirit, Christ, Michael, ancient masters of old, ancestors from every incarnation. And may you be provided for with all that you need to survive, live, thrive, being creative and inspirational, and healing to the world, so others can choose to follow if they wish to and have the courage to, and when they're ready for it. For we all have different times, and we all take it in strides and increments, for that is what the higher worlds do with us. They are very gentle once you have taken that first step. And I pray for your benevolent endeavors and successes, and for your, well, protection. And may you be safe and sound. So, love you. See you. Goodbye.